Welcome back to the Hadley Running YouTube channel. I am Hadley Running's avatar Miles, and on today's episode, we are going to talk about aid stations. Specifically what they are, what to expect at them, and how to use them to fuel and hydrate effectively in your races. First off, let's start by defining what we mean when we say an aid station. An aid station is a specific point in a race in which fluids, and sometimes food, are offered to runners to allow them to rehydrate and refuel along the course. Most of the time, these aid stations are a series of tables with cups or bottle of fluids, and potentially food, on them, and often volunteers handing them to runners as they go by. Some runners take and drink or eat on the run, and some runners walk through the aid stations for easier drinking and eating. These aid stations are set at predetermined points on the race course and are almost always advertised as to their location on the race website so runners can plan accordingly. What you can expect to find at an aid station can vary depending on the length of the race and point on the course, but can include water, sport drinks or electrolyte drinks, gels such as goo, and simple food such as fruit slices, cookies, or candies. Often aid stations will vary some based on the distance of the race. Here is a guide on what you might expect to find at aid stations in races at different distances. In races between 5 and 10 kilometers in length, usually only have water and sports drinks at their aid stations, as the duration is relatively short and often gels or food is not needed or desired. In races between 15 kilometers and half marathon in length, usually you will see water and sports drinks at every aid station, and at 1 or 2 aid stations, usually in the middle or later stages, a gel or goo option as well. In marathons, there are fluids at every aid station and usually gels or food at every other or every third aid station, and sometimes at large marathons they are available at every aid station. In ultramarathons, at most all aid stations, there are all the options available, fluids, gels, and food, because the durations are so long and the aid stations are often spaced out more. The race's website should have details on where the aid stations will be located and what will be available. Now that we know what aid stations are and what is usually available at them, let's talk about what the runners need and how often. Our needs can be broken down into 2 categories: hydration and fueling. Our goal in hydration is to replace enough fluids and electrolytes that we lose through perspiration and respiration to not affect our athletic performance. A good working guide how to do that is to take in smaller amounts regularly in a race. 3 to 6 ounces, which is 2 to 3 good swallows, of fluids once every 15 to 25 minutes is a good base strategy. You can and should adjust this strategy as needed for weather conditions. Our goal in fueling is to replace some of the calories we are burning in the race. To do this, we intake between 75 and 150 calories every 30 to 60 minutes. Intake of calories isn't generally needed until the race exceeds 1 hour in length. Fueling calorie intake can take the form of drinks, gels, or food items. It is important to recognize that our body's ability to absorb fluids and calories is limited while we are running, and that the faster the pace we are running, the more limited our ability to absorb these needed items. The strategy we just outlined gives us enough range to take this into account. We can hydrate and fuel less in shorter, faster races, and more in longer and slower ones. To execute our hydration strategy, we can drink either water or sports drinks at aid stations in the race. Often these will be given to us in paper or plastic cups, but occasionally some races have disposable bottles. Experience will help teach how best to drink from a cup while running or walking, but by grabbing the cup with our whole hand and then squeezing together the top of the cup with our thumb and index finger, you can create a funnel from which to drink without splashing the majority of the fluids out of the cup and onto your face and body. Weather conditions and our level of sweat can help us determine our mixture between water and electrolyte-enriched sports drink we take in. Many runners start off alternating between the two in a race. Our options for replacing calories can be accomplished through fluids such as certain sports drinks, or by taking items such as gels or sports goos, or simple food items such as fruit slices, cookies, or candies. It is important to remember that the body's ability to process food while running is severely limited, so the amount and type of calories should be small and simple. It is a good idea to experiment in training and see what works best for you in terms of hydration and fueling mixes. Also, be sure to consult the race website to learn what is going to be available and when during the race so you can practice accordingly. Remember that the stomach is trainable just like the rest of the body. So by practicing our race strategy, we can become better prepared to execute it on race day. That concludes our episode for today. Thank you for tuning in and watching. We hope you found this information helpful. Please be sure to like this episode and follow the channel if you haven't already. As a reminder, we release new episodes on Mondays and Fridays, with the Monday episodes focused on training theory and advice, and the Friday episodes focused on another topic in the world of running similar to today's aid station discussion. Thanks and happy running.